The timing of what Obama's doing is absolutely crucial for three reasons. First of all, governments that have nuclear weapons, particularly the British and American, are desperate to save money. And here is billions waiting to be saved. Secondly, the public don't see the point of spending this amount of money on vast weapon systems that are absolutely useless for the main threat that we are told we face, namely terrorism. You cannot bomb a terrorist with a nuclear weapon. And thirdly, all countries worldwide see through the hypocrisy of the argument that it's perfectly all right for some countries to have nuclear weapons, but absolutely unacceptable for others. Therefore, the logic of trying to prevent Iran and North Korea having nuclear weapons is empty. The argument cannot be sustained. If it's okay for us, why shouldn't it be okay for other countries? And that's exactly what India and Pakistan said when they wanted to develop their nuclear capability. So I see no way that we can persuade Iran to desist from its nuclear program unless we show that we are very quickly making steps to zero ourselves. And that obviously presupposes a multilateral program, that all the countries who hold nuclear weapons organise their build down to zero. What Obama is articulating, and he's articulating it on the part of probably the majority of the world's people right now, is that in order for the human race to survive on the planet, huge changes have to be made over the next 100 years, massive changes. And as part of this, we have to have a mutualised policy towards other nations. We have to be able to cooperate. We can't do it in competition by just grabbing what each nation feels it needs. We're obliged, this is our challenge of the 21st century, to cooperate, to find ways of collaborating. And he's setting the pace in how this can be done. He must know that he's responding to an upsurge of public opinion throughout the world, not necessarily in America, which will support him in this. However, he's up against some extremely powerful vested interests. There is a massive amount of funds invested in and profits being made from the arms industry, not least the nuclear industry. And if Obama tackles the dismantling of that industry, he will hit a wall of opposition. But he must remember, and we must continue to show him from different parts of the world, how wide is the support that he has. What he's tackling is an industry that has established itself built on the fear of one nation for another for the last 70, 80 years. I have witnessed again and again the massive manipulation and lobbying power of that industry. And it's no wonder that he's being opposed by dinosaurs, who think still, as dinosaurs do, in terms of old ways of doing things, that competition is the only way, that arming yourself is the only way, that threatening people with nuclear weapons is the only way. This is the thinking of 100 years ago that produced that. We're in a completely different era now. We're in an era now where we have no option but to cooperate. So here's the man who's standing up bravely in front of a tide of opposition to say this is what we have to do. And he is supported by an upswell of ordinary people all over the world. just have a look at not just at the global electronic petitions that are taking place, but just have a look at the number of new civil society organisations that are sprouting up. There are 1 million organisations all over the world and growing exponentially. People are just organising themselves. They're tired of their slow-moving, patriarchal, old-fashioned governments. What we're dealing with here is a culture of mistrust. And it ratchets up. You notice it in a crisis. You know, one side makes an accusation, the other side defends itself and makes a counter-accusation, just like in family quarrels. It's exactly the same dynamic. And unless somebody gets in there and says, let's bring the temperature down, let's try and understand what's really happening, let's listen to what your grievance is and where your grievance is coming from, and feed back to you what we've heard, and then ask you to do the same with us and our grievance. Unless we do that, we can't replace this hideous virus of mistrust and fear. Fear is a very, very, it's like a virus. It spreads very fast and it can kill people. And usually it's based on untruth. So people hear things, rumours, often circulated by the intelligence services, about what the other side has or is plotting. The whole spying regime is based on this. Misinformation, counterintelligence, and so on. And so people get terrified by what they think the other side are doing. And then they act in ways that is based on that fear, and that in turn inspires mistrust on the other side. What wise people throughout the world, and I don't just mean religious people, but the wise ones, the elders, what they know is that the only way we're going to survive this next century is by replacing that fear with a growing culture of trust, and that alone can lead to cooperation and collaboration to resolve the world's problems. Because these problems are so big now that they can't be addressed piecemeal. They can't be a bit here and a bit there. And it's the same with nuclear weapons. We can't approach the nuclear weapons issue by saying, we'll take one submarine out of the picture. It means nothing. Absolutely nothing. We have to have a program, a staged program. It might take 10 years or more to methodically get rid of them and dispose of the fissile materials so that they can't be built again. And that is the only ground on which we can insist that other countries do it. And we can then plough that money back, the money that we save, or even a tenth of it, of the money that we would save, for example, on renewing Trident, we can then plough into a multilateral, multinational regime that can police the production of fissile materials. Really police it with teeth.